Sony has been a pioneer in the world of mirrorless cameras for more than a decade, and it's still one of the largest and most popular manufacturers of mirrorless cameras in the world. Whether it's pushing the boundaries of autofocus or making one of the most compact full-frame cameras on the market, Sony remains an innovative brand that's done a whole lot to drive the mirrorless market forward. We've bought and tested several Sony cameras, and below you'll find our recommendations for the best Sony cameras. Thankfully, they offer plenty of options to suit every budget and experience level, so you're sure to find something to suit your needs. Number 1. Sony ± 7 IV. The Sony ± 7 IV is the best Sony Alpha camera we've tested. It's a true hybrid camera that can pretty much do it all. Landscape photography. It's got dynamic range for days, and the 33MP sensor is great for prints. Sports and action photography. You'll be hard-pressed to find a quicker and more accurate autofocus system. Not to mention a solid 10 FPS burst rate. Be aware that if you want to shoot uncompressed RAW photos for the highest quality, the camera maxes out at 6 FPS. Video. This camera has you covered with unlimited recording times, high bit rates for better quality video, and plenty of frame rate options to capture everything from cinematic footage to slow motion. It's also wrapped up in a very well-built package with a sturdy weather-sealed body, a vari-angle touchscreen, and a high-resolution viewfinder, ensuring you get a good view of your subject. Dual South Dakota card slots for extra storage and all the ports you might need for video peripherals. Sony cameras are also among the best mirrorless cameras for battery life. All that hardware and processing power comes at the expense of portability, but if you're looking for the best of the best, short of dipping into pro territory, this is the camera to get. Number 2. Sony ± 7 III. If the Sony ± 7 IV is out of your budget, its predecessor, the Sony ± 7 III, is still a fantastic camera, despite being on the market since 2018. Though it's definitely behind the times when it comes to video features, it's still one of the best Sony cameras for photography. You get incredible image quality from its full-frame sensor, and though it isn't weather-sealed, it still feels well-built, and it's a bit smaller and more lightweight than the ± 7 IV. You'll be stuck with Sony's old menu system, which is poorly organized, but that's a minor inconvenience considering the value you get with this camera. If you'd prefer something more compact, the Sony ± 7C is essentially an ± 7 III packed into a smaller body. It's got some light upgrades, including tweaked color science and a newer autofocus system, but you also lose out on some buttons and dials, and get a much smaller viewfinder. Depending on how big your lens is, the benefit of the smaller size is arguably marginal. However, it does make for a great high-quality travel camera in this price range, especially when paired with smaller prime lenses. Number 3. Sony ± 6400. If you want to save even more money, Sony's APS-C Alpha lineup is a great middle ground for beginners or those who want a more portable kit. The Sony ± 6400 is the true mid-range option, sitting between the pricier Sony ± 6600 and the more beginner-oriented Sony ± 6100. It doesn't have built-in image stabilization like the ± 6600, but it has a higher resolution viewfinder and sturdier body than the ± 6100, offering a good balance of features and price. Naturally, an APS-C sensor won't have quite the same image quality as one of the full-frame options above. However, unless you're a pro or a hobbyist, the difference will be marginal, and you can still get amazing photos out of these cameras. They're also solid for video, especially for light vlogging or home videos. To top it off, they're portable, making it easy to take your camera with you wherever you go. Number 4. Sony ZV-E10. The Sony ZV-E10 is Sony's first dedicated interchangeable lens vlogging camera, and it's also the best model for those on a tighter budget. It uses the same sensor as the Sony ± 6400 above, but ditches the viewfinder, and adds a fully articulated screen that makes it easy to monitor yourself while recording or taking selfies. Other nice additions include a better internal microphone and a headphone jack. While it's geared toward video, it's just as capable in the photo department as its alpha siblings, with great overall image quality, along with quick burst shooting. Battery life is also excellent. Its autofocus is a little less reliable than higher-end Sony cameras, but it's still very effective overall. Ultimately, if you can live without a viewfinder, this camera offers a ton of value for its price. especially for beginner users and vloggers. Number 5. Sony RX100 VII. While smartphones have become the ultimate pocket cameras, there's still something to be said for a high-quality point-and-shoot. Sony has filled in the premium compact camera niche for 7 iterations now with the Sony RX100 VII. It's a highly portable camera with a built-in zoom lens, making it incredibly versatile and great for traveling. Extra features like a pop-up viewfinder and flash are nice additions, too. While image quality doesn't compare with larger sensor cameras, it's very solid for a camera with a 1-inch sensor, and it has an excellent autofocus system, so you don't have to worry about missing focus with faster subjects. If you don't mind losing out on the viewfinder and some zoom range, the vlogging-oriented Sony ZV-E10 is a great cheaper alternative that uses the same sensor and AF system. Both cameras struggle a bit with battery performance, but if you're looking for something pocketable, point-and-shoots like these are good options.